I let my neighbor borrow a ladder. When I asked for it back, she denied ever taking it. Later that night, I heard clanging outside. She was using it to access my roof. I called out, and she replied, "I'm checking for fire hazards. Someone has to." The police came. But when they checked her garage, they didn't just find the ladder they found. I never thought something as simple as a ladder would lead to cops, arrests, and one of the most bizarre neighbor stories I've ever heard. But it all started there. Just a damn ladder. I live in Glens Falls, New York. It's a small town. Most people here keep to themselves, wave in passing, borrow sugar, return it. That kind of place. I bought my house after my divorce, needed space, quiet, and time to rebuild my life. Spent years fixing the place up. It's not fancy, but it's home. Every nail, every tool, every flower bed, I worked for all of it. About a year ago, Brenda moved in next door. She was in her early 60s. Wore the same old blue windbreaker every day, even in the summer. Pale face, hair pulled tight, lips always pursed like she was sucking on a lemon. She didn't talk much at first, just nodded or gave a half smile. I didn't think much of her. Some people are just quiet. I didn't mind. Things were fine for the first few months. But then she started getting nosy. She'd watch me from her porch when I mowed the lawn. Comment on my trash cans. "You know recycling goes in the blue one, right?" She'd say, as if I was new to the planet. I just smiled and nodded. Figured maybe she was lonely. One weekend in early spring, I was out in the driveway organizing tools when she came over. "You got a ladder I could borrow?" "Need to clean out my gutters," she said, looking over the fence. "Yeah, no problem," I said. I had a solid aluminum ladder I'd bought about 2 years back. Not cheap. I wheeled it over, handed it off, and told her, "Just bring it back tomorrow." She didn't say thanks. Just dragged it into her garage and shut the door. Tomorrow came. No ladder. Next day? Still nothing. 3 days passed. A week. I finally walked over and knocked on her door. It took a while, but she finally opened it. Just a crack, chain still latched. Her eyes looked me over like I was a stranger. "Hey, Brenda," I said. "Just checking in about that ladder." Her face went blank. "What ladder?" "The one I let you borrow. Last weekend. Aluminum. About 12 feet. She shook her head slowly. "I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't borrowed anything." She said it so calmly, like I was the crazy one. Then she just closed the door. I stood there for a second, stunned. I wasn't sure what pissed me off more, her lying, or how confident she was doing it. She acted like I was some scammer trying to squeeze her. I walked back to my place fuming. It was just a ladder, but it was mine. It was the principle. I let it go for the moment. I had work the next day, and I wasn't about to start a neighbor feud. But I started watching her out of the corner of my eye. 3 nights later, around 11:30 p.m., I heard metal clanging outside. At first I thought it was raccoons. But it was steady, metal on siding. I turned off the TV, went to the front window. And there it was. My ladder. Propped up against the side of my house. And there was Brenda, in that same damn blue windbreaker, climbing it with a flashlight in hand. I threw on my shoes and went outside. "Brenda!" I yelled. She looked down, calm as ever. "I'm checking for fire hazards," she said like she was doing a community service. "What the hell are you talking about? You're on my property!" She kept scanning the gutters with her flashlight. "I've seen some suspicious debris up here. It could be a fire risk. Someone needs to be proactive. You're trespassing," I shouted. "And that's my ladder." She looked down at me, totally calm. "I don't think it is." I grabbed my phone and called the police. I told the dispatcher what was happening. She said they'd send someone right away. Brenda climbed down and walked back to her yard like nothing happened. When the officer showed up, Mendez, a guy I've seen around town, I explained everything. Brenda was back on her porch pretending to read a magazine. He knocked on her door. She came out, all smiles. "I'm just trying to keep the neighborhood safe," she said sweetly. He asked if she had any items that belonged to me. "No," she said. "I don't borrow things. I've had issues in the past. I buy everything I need." He asked if she minded if they had a quick look in the garage. That's when her face changed. Not angry, more like frozen. "It's a mess in there." "I'd rather not," she said. He told her it would be easier to clear things up. She finally agreed. They opened her garage. My ladder was leaning against the wall. But there was more. There were sealed Amazon packages, with my name on them. She had a bin full of my mail. Some envelopes already torn open. One was from the IRS. Another from my credit card company. She had my head shears. A ceramic flower pot from my back porch. Even my old mailbox numbers. I'd replaced them months ago thinking they'd fallen off. Officer Mendez turned to me slowly. "You said you've had mail go missing?" "Yeah," I said. "I thought it was the delivery guys." "Nope," he said. "It's theft. And it's federal. They arrested her that night. Mail theft, trespassing, possession of stolen property." But it didn't stop there. The next morning, everything felt off. The air was heavy. I stood in my driveway staring at the spot where the cops had handcuffed Brenda just hours earlier. Her garage door was still halfway open. Her porch light was on. Her house looked like it had been frozen mid-moment. Part of me thought it was over. They'd arrested her. I had my ladder back. My packages. My mail. But then came the banging. It was 6 a.m. when someone pounded on my door. Not a knock. Banging. I jumped out of bed and grabbed a baseball bat from under the dresser. When I looked out the peephole, I saw a man I'd never seen before. Late 40s, maybe 50s. Buzz cut. Tan jacket. Eyes full of rage. I cracked the door just an inch. "Can I help you?" He stepped closer. "What the hell did you do to my mother?" It clicked. Brenda's son. "She was trespassing," I said. "And stealing my stuff. I called the police." "She's not well," he growled. "You humiliated her. She climbed onto my roof in the middle of the night," I snapped. "With a flashlight. While lying about stealing from me." He shook his head. "You should have handled this like a neighbor. Not like some coward calling the cops." He stormed off, but not before saying something that sent a chill through me. "You're gonna regret this." 2 nights later, my power went out. I thought it was the grid. Stuff like that happens in Glens Falls sometimes. I checked the breaker. Nothing. Then I stepped outside and found my electrical box wide open. The master switch had been ripped out. Not turned off. Ripped. I called the police again. This time it was a different officer. He told me unless I had a camera or saw who did it, there wasn't much they could do. So I bought cameras. Front yard. Back. Garage. Driveway. I installed them myself that weekend and made sure they lit up every inch of my property. A week passed. Then I saw something on the camera footage that made my blood go cold. At 3:42 a.m., someone crept up to my back fence. Tall, male, hooded. He didn't come onto the property. Just stood there. For 23 minutes. Not moving. Not pacing. Just watching. Then he walked away. I showed the footage to the police. They said unless he was on my property or caught doing something illegal, there wasn't enough to press charges. I knew it was Brenda's son. I could feel it. And Brenda? She'd been released on bail. She was back in her house the next day like nothing had happened. When I saw her again, she didn't look ashamed. She looked smug. I tried to avoid her. But a few days later, I caught her walking past my driveway, slow and deliberate. Sure hope you're locking your shed at night, she muttered. That's when I realized this wasn't over. This was war. Next night, I stayed up late. Lights off. Cameras on. Bat by the door. At 1:07 a.m., I heard footsteps. Slow. Gravel crunching under boots. I peeked through the side window. Brenda. She was in my yard again. Not with the ladder this time. She was crouched by my trash cans, flashlight in hand, digging through bags. That's when I saw what she was doing. She was sorting through my garbage. Paperwork. Envelopes. Junk mail. Digging for something. I yanked open the back door and flipped on the floodlight. She froze like a raccoon caught in headlights. What are you doing? She stood up slowly. Just checking for code violations, she said, brushing off her jacket. You're in my trash. This neighborhood has standards. You're on my property at 1 a.m. I started recording with my phone. She backed away, slowly, like she wasn't even afraid. I'll be talking to code enforcement, she said. You have mold in your bins. I reported her again. This time, I pressed hard. Gave them the camera footage. The video from my trash. The old footage from the ladder incident. The son's threats. They opened a full investigation. And what they uncovered? It wasn't just me. Brenda had been stealing from multiple neighbors. Mail. Tools. Decorations. One woman down the block swore Brenda had stolen her daughter's tricycle right off the porch. She had a storage unit on the edge of town filled with stolen items. And more importantly, documents. Files. Junk mail, yes. But also utility bills. Tax notices. Even old checks. Brenda was collecting people. Their data. Their habits. Their routines. But why? The town didn't want to believe it at first. Glens Falls isn't the kind of place where neighbors are spying on each other, much less stealing trash and climbing roofs. But once the police confirmed Brenda had a storage unit packed with other people's mail, ID documents, and stolen household items, it all came crashing down. Turns out, Brenda had been doing this for years. Her son wasn't just defending his mother. He was helping her. They were running a slow-burn identity theft operation, right out of our neighborhood. They'd use people's mail to apply for credit cards, run up balances, take out fake accounts, and then disappear before the banks could catch on. They kept it quiet. Small charges. Steady. Just under the radar. And I'd been one of their recent targets. Those IRS letters I thought were just routine. They were tied to a tax return I didn't file. They tried to file under my name. Probably hoping I wouldn't notice. But I had. And now the cops had proof. The whole block erupted once the news got out. 3 other neighbors filed reports. One couple found fake accounts in their name that went back over 2 years. Another found her dead husband's pension had been rerouted. Brenda had been pulling information from his mail for months. Brenda was arrested again, this time on federal charges. Identity theft. Mail fraud. Conspiracy. And her son? He got nailed too. He'd been the one using the documents to create online accounts. He left digital footprints all over. IP traces, login data, everything. This time, they weren't released on bail. But that wasn't enough for me. Not yet. Because even after they were taken away, I still had a mess to clean up. I spent weeks on the phone with banks, credit bureaus, and government offices. I had to file affidavits, freeze my credit, change all my accounts. I couldn't sleep. Every time a piece of mail showed up, I wondered if it was fake. If something else was hiding behind it. And no one offered to help me fix it. So I took matters into my own hands. I sued Brenda and her son. Civil court. I gathered everything. Police reports, photos, video footage, copies of the fake credit accounts, my financial damages. And I found a lawyer who'd been through something similar. He helped me build a case that didn't just ask for reimbursement. I wanted everything: damages, emotional distress, punitive penalties. I knew they didn't have much money left, but Brenda still owned her house. Paid off years ago. No mortgage. So I went after it. And I won. Brenda's house was seized and sold at auction. I used the payout to not only fix every part of my financial life but to upgrade my entire home. New roof. New siding. Security system that rivaled Fort Knox. And I made damn sure the entire town knew where the money came from. The day they tore the "for sale" sign out of Brenda's yard and handed me the check was the day I finally felt the revenge land. Heavy. Real. That smug look she used to wear? Gone. I saw her one last time in court during the civil case. Shackled at the wrists. Eyes down. She wouldn't even look at me. I leaned in close before I left and said, "Thanks for the ladder." She flinched. Her son got 5 years. Brenda, at her age, got 3, but was transferred to a medical unit after a breakdown in custody. I heard she's in a state facility now. No visitors. No mail. Poetic, isn't it? As for me, I keep my new ladder locked up in the garage. And every time someone asks to borrow it, I just smile and say, "Sorry. I don't lend things anymore." Not after what happened next door.